Do the Dodgers have any untouchable prospects down in the farm system as the trade deadline nears? That's a question I asked today to my friend Casey Porter of Dodgers Daily. We go through some of the prospects down in the system, kind of look ahead to the trade deadline, some needs for this Dodgers team as the deadline approaches, and we talk about other things too. Gavin Lux, a little bit of the pitching staff situation. It's a good conversation, a good baseball conversation here with Casey, so I hope you enjoy it. If you do, hit the thumbs up button for this video, hit the subscribe button. We're trying to get past we hit the 7,000 subscriber mark, trying to get to 8,000, 9,000, 10 billion subscribers here on the channel, and you can help by being one of those. It's completely free to subscribe. But anyways, let's get into it. Before we get into it, I got to tell you about BetOnline. It's the world's most trusted betting platform and the #1 source for everything online sports betting. Right now, through the magic of watching this video and the promo code I'm going to tell you about, you can receive a 50% free bet of up to $250 on your first deposit. So you can bet on anything. The Olympics, baseball, of course, Formula One racing. You can bet it all. BetOnline, where they have every stat, every matchup, even live odds and spreads while games are being played. And hey, there's no games. If the game's over, head on over to their online casino, get in on a game of blackjack, get in on a game of poker, unwind with over 150 slot games available. That's right, BetOnline. Head to the website today, get in on the action, use that promo code BELIEVE, that is BLEAV. You get that 50% free bet credit on your first deposit up to $250. BetOnline, the game starts here, and the show starts now. Let's welcome in Casey and get right into it. They keep putting out premium prospects or guys that other organizations are very intrigued by. Some of these dudes, we know there's going to be a lot of organizations asking for. Josue De Paula is going to be one of those names. Dalton Rushing, Diego Cartaya, maybe a little bit less so these days. Who, in your opinion, as we are a week away from the trade deadline, who do you think is the organization identifies as like their most untouchable guys, and who would be beyond, like, for you, your expanded untouchable list of prospects?
Well, the two guys that I go to right off the bat that, hey, nobody's untouchable. Let me start with that. If the right package comes back, anybody is the Dodgers will be willing to send anybody if you get the right guy. So let's make that really clear. There is no such thing as untouchable. There are more untouchable prospects than others. The two that I would have to go into the bathroom and probably, well, you know what? If they got rid of those two guys, would be Edgardo Henriquez, who's 103. He has a 94-mile-an-hour slider. Oof. Now, imagine Emmanuel Clase and then put him on steroids. Wow. Add about 2 or 3 ticks to Emmanuel Clase. That is what Edgardo Henriquez's stuff looks like. I've seen him twice now in person in Tulsa. And when I saw the 94 on the slider on the radar gun, and I had that confirmed also on the track, man, I mean, it was like, what am I seeing right here? I mean, this is like a video game. I mean,
that's insane
it
stuff.
Just was not even real. And so Edgardo Henriquez, with his arm and the way that he is able to throw that slider and the fastball. And then another guy, not just because he's great, which he is, not just because he plays a premium position, which he does, but I'm telling you, Dalton Rushing is a guy that you don't want to get rid of. And the reason is this guy is fire, man. I mean, I'm telling you, he holds his pitchers accountable. Every pitch, every at-bat, everything he does is with 100% intensity. And if his teammates around him aren't giving the same amount of fire intensity that he is, he's going to let them know about it. He holds his teammates accountable. And so for all of those intangible factors, Dalton Rushing is not a guy that I would give away unless it was like, okay, man, we just got to do it. I mean, we got to do it. It's one of those deals. And I did ask him the last time I talked to him, hey, could you play? And I asked, the way I put it was, we knew you played the catcher and first. Is there any other positional versatility? Of course, he knew I was talking about third base, right? And he said, hey, man, give me a glove. Let me head on over there, and I promise you I will figure it out. Another little nugget there, Diego Cartaya, I don't think people realize, never actually was a catcher till he was about 16 years old. So, I mean, he was a shortstop third base guy. So there is enough positional versatility to where I know a lot of fans are saying, you got to trade these guys because you signed Will Smith. Will Smith also played third base.
Yep.
There's enough positional versatility to not have to get rid of all of them. I do think one of them between Cartaya and Rushing probably needs to get dealt and probably will get dealt, but it'll be interesting to see what happens there.
Yeah, but somebody like Rushing, or let's really look at it from like a major league perspective, the Barnes perspective. Austin Barnes is going to be around for the next, 3 or 4 or 5 years. Might not even be around, next year or beyond. Does have, I think it's a player option or a club option for 2025. But the reality is, at some point, Will Smith isn't going to be catching 125 games every year. Probably shouldn't be. He needs a little bit more time off as he gets a little bit older. We've seen a lot of organizations in recent years kind of run with the 1A, 1B catcher. So if Rushing can find a way to add to that, defensive, versatility, that positionality, I guess I'm going to go with. I'm trying to make up a Dave Roberts word type of, in this situation. If he can mix in some third base while also being a catching, an option at catcher, that goes such a long way, because they've been kind of hamstrung at catcher for so long. It's like you only have this guy who can do this. Of course, Barnesy playing some second here and whatever at different points. But if you're able to get somebody that's for as good as Austin has been this year, let's be fair, there's kind of been maybe some luck in there or whatever it may be, but the ceiling is much higher for somebody like a Dalton Rushing. So that would, I'd be interested to see if they kind of go that route and, having essentially 2 A catchers and figuring it out, or 2 number 1 catchers. All of that aside, I'm surprised I didn't hear the name Alexander Albertus from you in that, because he's one of those guys I know a lot of the prospects folks are really high on. You look at the numbers so far in his minor league career, looks like a hitter. He looks like a pure hitter, could be something special. Do you think this is a guy that maybe some of these organizations that have names like, Luis Robert or Tariq Skubal, do you think that that's a guy that some of these organizations might be chasing?
I don't think it's the needle mover. I think whenever you look at a Skubal or a Robert Jr., you're going to have to give away some major league ready talent. A Justin Robleski, a River Ryan after he makes his major league debut, a Landon Knack, something like that. I think Gavin Stone is off limits, maybe even a Bobby Miller. Who knows? I mean, he probably is off limits. I mean, we're probably talking complete nonsense at this point whenever I throw out names like that. But then they're also going to want, a couple of your really highly ranked players at the bottom of your organization. So here's the deal about Alexander Albertus. Now, if you ask me if other clubs will want him, absolutely. I mean, he's a wonderful young player. Is he a type of guy that the Dodgers would make untouchable? I wouldn't think so. And not because he's not a great player, but when you look at what they have at the complex right now, you got Yoendry Vargas, you got Emil Morales, which I've talked to Manny Pimentel, who is the scouting director in the DR, who was with him a lot when he was in the DSL Summer League. Emil Morales is just a fantastic young player. He is a leader on the field. Yoendry Vargas is like, I'm hearing Ellie De La Cruz type comparisons with him and that type of stuff. And then you have like Wilman Diaz, and you got all of these, Sean McClain at the single A level. And then Alex Freeland's having one of the best minor league seasons in all the minor leagues. Trey Sweeney starting to actually swing the bat like we all thought he was capable of swinging. And then you have Noah Miller at the high A Great Lakes level, who was the Gold Glove winner for all shortstops at the minor league level last year. So not because Albertus isn't good, but, Tim Rogers hit on this when we used to do our Dodgers Prospect podcast. About 2 or 3 years ago, the Dodgers made a really concerted effort to stockpile on shortstops, and they certainly have done that.
And they drafted another one as well in the first round of this year. And I was going to Albertus more like one of those names that we know he's definitely not going to headline a package of prospects, but if it's one of those guys where he's, just one of those names where we're like, oh, dang, they also lost him. I guess that's kind of the worry of somebody like that. But there is a lot of depth, even if it's, more 3 or 4 years away as opposed to the 1 or 2, which, I think fans really want right now. They feel like they need help. They need help yesterday. Trade deadline's a week away. If any of the big names that are out there, which potential trade piece excites you the most? The idea of them coming to the Dodgers.
I've made it pretty clear that I'm big on Garrett Crochet, and the reason why I say that is I think the Dodgers can load manage. I think they have plenty of depth. Now, What the Dodgers don't have right now is a second Tyler Glass now until Yoshinobu Yamamoto comes back, meaning they don't have a dominator.
Yeah.
What they need is a guy that can go out there in a first game or second game of a playoff situation and dominate with his and just overpower hitters with his stuff. That is Garrett Crochet. His stuff is if you just go back and watch when he pitched against the Dodgers and what the Shohei Ohtani, the greatest player since gosh knows when, the guy that hit the ball out of the Dodgers stadium last night or yesterday. Just watch Shohei Ohtani swings against Garrett Crochet. That'll tell you everything you need to know about what that fastball is like from Garrett Crochet. The thing about it is he crossfires, which means he's left-handed, and when he strides, his foot lands like basically in the first base dugout.
Yeah.
And so it looks like it's just coming like a slingshot, and it's coming 1,000 miles an hour. And so, yes, I understand all of the limitations. I understand the Dodgers have had a million different injuries. And as a fan, you're like, why in the hell would you want to add another guy that he's already passed his innings limit? Well, because the only reason you get him is so he could dominate 4 outings in the playoffs. And I think the Dodgers could map that well enough to get him in a situation to where he could do that. And I think he has the best top end stuff. I think Justin Robleski, with that fastball that he throws, I know it doesn't have great extension, but it does have great spin, and it is beating major league hitters right now in the zone. I think he can duplicate some of what Tarek Skubal can do for you. I don't think he can duplicate Garrett Crochet and the dominance that he brings when he throws the ball to home plate.
Yeah, I mean, somebody like Crochet, there's a different kind of aura about him. He looks like a man out there on the mound who's ready to, he'll knock you down if he needs to. The type of stuff you want to see in a postseason series. He's got that dog in him, as some people, that Dodger dog, if you will, that some people really, really want. And if it isn't a starting role, if it's something where they're getting 3, 4, 5 innings out of him, or we've seen a lot of organizations, particularly the Dodgers in 2020, have that success with those guys who get you 2 or 3 innings in relief in the biggest moments. Obviously we don't like talking about Julio Urias anymore online, but we could appreciate what he did for this organization in 2020. And Crochet, I'm pretty sure he cares more about trying to win a ball game than get his innings and all this kind of stuff, and looking forward to payday in free agency or whatever. So I like that. Is that kind of Crochet's your number one guy, you would say then?
Yeah, I've been pretty adamant, pretty vocal, and on social media quite a bit. And most people disagree with me because of the innings limit, and I get that. I totally 1,000% understand that. I think definitely Tarek Skubal, whose stuff is phenomenal. I'm not trying to say any of that. I mean, if the Dodgers get Tarek Skubal, we're all going to do cartwheels. I mean, we're going to be so excited we can't see straight. That is not the point here whatsoever. I understand if you want Tarek Skubal more because it's a safer bet that he's actually going to be available in the playoffs. And the last thing the Dodgers can afford is not to have one of those guys available down this. They have to get another dominant starting pitcher. You can't rely on Yoshinobu Yamamoto. You can't rely on Bobby Miller. And, hey, lightning's going to strike me, Clint, but I really don't think you can rely on Clayton Kershaw at this point. As far as a playoff guy in the situation of being the dominant shutdown guy, the number one guy that I'm talking about. I hope Dodgers fans don't hate me now and that my YouTube page doesn't burn down. I might actually ask you to strike that because that wasn't very fun to say.
No, I mean, it's an honest assessment of the team.
The injury thing, though, man, it's tough.
Yeah, I mean, of course, we haven't seen him come back yet. He's slated to make his season debut on Thursday. That'll be a couple days after this drops on the internet. And first major surgery in his life. He's got other postseason demons in his past there.
Let me make it clear. I'm talking about it from an injury perspective.
Okay, yeah.
When I'm talking about Yamamoto, when I'm talking about Bobby Miller, and not that he's not good enough, or he's obviously just that the injury part of it you can't trust, in my opinion.
Well, I mean, we could throw back to 2021 in that situation where they were hoping he was going to come back, but the forearm kind of gave on him. You do have that worry, and right now, we're going to see him 5 days or whatever it is before the trade deadline. I think there's a reason we're seeing him 5 days before the trade deadline. You got to see really what he can do against major league hitters, or if you can't get major league hitters, I guess the San Francisco Giants will work, and that's a Giants burn right there. But no, it's fair, and you just give yourself more. There's never such thing as too much starting pitching. So if Kershaw comes out here and proves that he can stay healthy and still be the Kershaw that we know, and he slots into that number 3 or number 4 spot in the rotation in the postseason, and they also go out and get Crochet, and it just makes more sense for him to be in the bullpen, I think all of them are more interested. I think this organization is smart enough, these players are smart enough to be more interested in a championship than their own personal numbers and where they're slotting into a rotation. But we get to a point where Kershaw's starting game 1. A lot of things went wrong for this team. A lot of things went wrong at the trade deadline. No matter how healthy Clayton is or how many outs he's getting, I think something definitely went wrong there.
Let me ask you this, Clint. As a Dodgers fan who Clayton Kershaw is a beloved figure to the Dodgers. Would it warm your heart more to see him throw the first pitch of the last game of the World Series that the Dodgers win, or the last pitch? Which one would warm your heart more, right?
I mean, the last pitch, there's always something about that indelible image, and we still have him. We kind of have, Kershaw running out of the bullpen. That's almost good enough there. You don't remember the first pitch as much as you remember that last pitch. So Kershaw, be open to that, to maybe a bullpen role. But I'm excited to see what we get out of Kershaw starting on Thursday. Let's say I would ask about honest team needs, but it feels like you're really in the starting pitching camp rather than maybe infield, third base, or like outfield, center field. Do you have any, back of mind or front of mind concerns about what we're seeing in center field? I mean, Andy Pages, you're seeing some of the the growths and stumbles along the way. Very good ball player, maybe not quite fully seasoned as a big leaguer yet. Of course, missed a lot of time last year with the shoulder. Max Muncy, we don't know if he's coming back. Maybe they need an infielder. Is there something beyond a starter that you think this team really, really needs to hammer home at the deadline?
Oh, I've shouted from the mountain that they needed a third baseman. I've been saying for 2 or 3 months they got to figure out third base.
Yeah.
And they haven't been able to do it. And I say that, and then I've said this too. I bitch and moan about, hey, they need to figure out third base. They got to find a third baseman. And then Austin goes, okay, well, who? What's your solution? I'm like, I don't know, man.
Yeah.
So the reason why I think you go starter first is because there actually are targets there that you can acquire that actually do meet the needs that you have. Looking at the market, I just don't see a third baseman that makes, when Andrew Friedman said the other day that, hey, maybe a minimal upgrade is not something that we're looking into. What he was saying was, I think he was talking about third base, that maybe there are some third basemen out there, but I'm not sure that giving up the prospects that we would have to get in an inflated market is worth a minimal upgrade. And if you're going to upgrade and give away prospects, it needs to be with a Crochet or Skubal type of guy. There is not a Garrett Crochet or a Tarek Skubal at third base to go get. There's just not one. It's going to be a very minimal upgrade. And to be honest with you, this is what the Dodgers fans need to root for. Number one, Max Muncy gets healthy, totally healthy, of which oblique injuries, I don't trust him. Cody Hosey had one. Ryan Pepio had one. It's just, you don't know. It's the most unscientific thing. That and a hamate bone's like the most unscientific injury of all time. You'd have no clue what's going to happen. So you can't trust that, obviously. And so let's eliminate Max Muncy. Let's say worst case scenario there. I think the best case scenario for the Dodgers is that Gavin Lux continues to hit home runs and has a slugging percentage over 500 and an OPS over 800 like he has so far in July. He becomes your second baseman. Miguel Rojas becomes your third baseman. I think in-house, that's your best option. That's actually the option that Dodgers fans, in my opinion, needs to be rooting for right now.
Yeah, I would say that's arguably the best, backup option. And I was going to ask you about Lux, because I know you and I have had some kind of conversations off video about Lux, and it's tough. It's been a very tough season. Even Lux said himself on Sunday, it's no secret that it's been a tough season. Some things kind of keeping him up at night, staring at the ceiling. You and I know better than most that a lot of his issues lie between, between the ears for him, and maybe if he's finding something good, it's all about, the good vibes, the good feelings, and keeping that going. So all of a sudden, if you're able to acquire a second baseman in-house and not go with the assumption that we've all been, trending towards of when Mookie Betts comes back, Lux is probably going to the bench or something like that. Maybe Mookie does slot back in at shortstop, and I get some side eye from people who say, no, Miguel Rojas, he is the shortstop. We've seen him play an exceptional third base, and we've also seen this team get beat at third base in the past in the postseason. So I love it. I love the idea, but it hinges on two things. Mookie coming back and continuing to play he needs to play shortstop like he was playing earlier in the season, but Lux has got to keep trending in this right direction.
Has to.
Do you buy in? Are you buying in on what we're seeing from Lux right now, or do you need a little bit more of a sample size?
Well, obviously, you need a lot more sample size, not a little bit more sample size.
150 at bats.
It's you know how much I believe in Gavin Lux. I saw it with my own eyes in 2019. Of course, that was at the AAA level, but I saw him hit home runs. I've seen him play great. I'm telling you, the kid is talented. I know Dodgers fans haven't seen the version of Gavin Lux that I have personally seen with my own eyes. Now, I've never seen it at the major league level. So I've defended Gavin Lux about 3 or 4 weeks ago on my show. It's like, hey, it's rock bottom. I can't. If Mookie Betts comes back tomorrow, I can't defend it. It's got to be Rojas at short and Betts at second. Now, I mean, baseball's fluid, man. It's a long season.
Yep.
We've seen what happens to Miguel Rojas when he has to play every day. His batting average since he's been in the lineup every single day is like 176. Don't quote me exactly on what it is, but part of what made him good was that he was able to stay fresh with the limited playing time, and then also Dave was able to map out good matchups for him.
Yeah.
When you have to play every day, now you're not in there based on a good matchup. You have to face every matchup, whether it's good or bad. That's factor number one. And now we already see his body breaking down at 36 years old. So it's just like I've said many different times, he can be your everyday shortstop if it's only in the playoffs.
Yeah.
But he can't be your everyday shortstop from July 1st all the way to the end of the season if he is your answer at shortstop in the playoffs.
Yeah.
That's not going to work because he's not going to stay healthy. And I think we're already seeing that.
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, they're not concerned. They say they're not concerned about that forearm issue that knocked him out of Sunday night's game. But still, that is something where if he is going to be that guy, they need to protect him. They need to protect him a little bit more, and they need some infield help. It kind of feels like they're wasting a roster spot with somebody like a Gavin Biggio. Kike is going to be around because they love Kike. CT3 is going to be around. There are some in-house guys at AAA that for some reason the Dodgers lose their Oklahoma City's phone number when it comes to guys like Lipsius, who we've talked a bunch about in the past. You and I before recording talking about Trey Sweeney and all that. There are some options. And if they're not going to go out and get like an Isaac Paredes, who, by the way, folks who didn't know it, he has played a lot of shortstop at the AAA level, but eventually, Mookie is going to come back. Max Muncy, there's a reasonable likelihood that he could be back by the end of September. So there are some pieces there, and you just got to protect what we have right now. Keep getting more of the positive news that we've got of late. Hey, Clayton Kershaw is coming back. Yamamoto's going to throw a baseball. Positive news. That's what we want to see. But good stuff, Casey, as always. I don't want to keep you super duper long. We can go on for hours and hours talking Dodger baseball. But, guys, make sure you give that man a follow. That is Casey Porter over at Dodgers Daily here on the YouTube. Talks about your Dodgers daily. Got a live show as well. Whole bunch of great stuff there. So appreciate you coming and hanging out, talking Dodger baseball. Hopefully we have a good trade deadline, and hopefully, people keep getting healthy for us, huh?
Yeah. Hey, and another thing, too, I know Tim Rogers in this boat. As a prospect guy who covers prospects, man, first of all, we want a World Series championship all in all. And that's goal number one. Number two is trade scenarios are win-wins for everybody.
Yeah.
We want these prospects like Ryan Ward or Drew Avens, these guys that aren't going to have a major league opportunity anytime soon. We want them traded like a Johnny DeLuca, where they can become an everyday player. So definitely not prospect huggers. So we like to think that whenever we come at this, it is from the best. It's not from hey, how do we keep every prospect? It's how can we get every prospect the major league career that they deserve, and then also get the Dodgers a world championship. So, hey, Clint, want to appreciate. I really appreciate you bringing me on. This has been a lot of fun. It's always an honor to come on your show.
Appreciate you, Casey. So once again, I want to thank Casey for taking some time to come on the channel, talk about a little bit of everything as we are here a week away from the deadline, but I want your guys' thoughts. Sound off in the comments. What do you think about the untouchable prospects? Are there more? Would you have assumed that Casey would drop more names in that untouchable prospect, or do you agree more with him that a lot of people, parades over prospects right now? Well, this team is a team that needs to win some baseball games. Drop your thoughts there. Drop your thoughts on Gavin Lux. Are you guys buying into the hot streak for old Gavin there, or you still need to see a little bit more out of him? Pitching staff, Clayton Kershaw thoughts, anything your heart desires, sound off in the comments below. I am Clint Pasillas. Find me as Real FRG on the social media platforms. Bet Online is a proud supporter here of the All Dodgers Show, presented by Bet Online. So check that out. Use that promo code BELIEVE, BLEAV, and you can get that 50% free bet credit up to $250. Anyways, we'll see you on the next one.